began on first week of June has gripped the country with continuous rainfall. Water-induced disasters triggered by the incessant rainfall in many places have already damaged properties worth millions, displacing hundreds of families. The Meteorological Forecasting Division, meanwhile, has warned of floods and landslides in the hilly region and has urged people around river areas to remain vigilant. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the headlines of the hour. The ruling CPN-UML dissolves the organizing committee of 10th General Convention. The Nepal faction terms the decision to revive the party to its former structure one-sided. 41 more COVID-19 deaths reported, taking the country's death tally to 9,112. 1,889 more individuals test positive. China marks 100th anniversary of the founding of ruling Communist Party. President Xi says only socialism can save the country. And world number one Novak Djokovic brushes aside Kevin Anderson in straight sets to reach the third round at Wimbledon. The ruling CPN-UML has dissolved the organizing committee of 10th General Convention and has called the meeting of the Central Committee, which was constituted before the unification with CPN Maoist Center. The meeting held yesterday at the Prime Minister's official residence in Baluatar decided to activate the existing Central Committee constituted prior to the unification with CPN Maoist Center. The meeting has called the Central Committee meeting for tomorrow. CPN-UML had decided to revive the party to its former structure after the disgruntled faction of the party demanded the leadership faction to do so without any preconditions for party unity. The meeting, however, appointed former CPN Maoist Center leaders Ram Bahadur Thapa, Lekhraj Bhatta, Top Bahadur Rai Maji and Mani Thapa, leaders from its own establishment faction Raghubir Mahaset and Bishnu Rimal, and leaders from the Nepal faction Raghu Panta and Bedu Ram Bhushal to the Central Committee. The Oli faction had formed the organizing committee of 10th General Convention, scrapping all the posts other than chairman and general secretary on 12th of March after the Supreme Court revived CPN-UML and CPN Maoist Center on 7th of March. The Oli faction was in pressure to reconsider its decision after the Apex Court, in another writ petition, invalidated all the actions taken by the General Convention Organizing Committee. The disgruntled faction of the ruling CPN-UML, led by senior leader Madhav Kumar Nepal, has termed the decision taken by the Standing Committee to revive the party to its former structure of May 2018 as one-sided. Leaders of the faction participating in a meeting held in the capital yesterday expressed their dissatisfaction over the Standing Committee meeting being summoned one-sidedly by party chairman KP Sharma Oli and demanded to call the meeting on mutual consent from both the sides. Claiming that the decision to revive the party's status quo was a technical issue, the Nepal faction demanded for a prior agreement to ensure the candidacy in all three levels of elections from both the factions. The factions also sought for assurance from the opponent faction to ensure working environment for all leaders and cadres without discrimination. Meanwhile, a few leaders urged senior leader Nepal to provide clarifications on the reported meetings of leaders from both the factions. Prominent leaders from the factions, however, were not present in the meeting. Now, legal practitioners pleading on behalf of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli during yesterday's hearing at the Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court have reiterated that the Constitution has entrusted the President a special right to appoint the Prime Minister. During the hearing session at the Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court on writ petitions filed against the dissolution of the lower house, lawyers on behalf of the defendants termed the appointment of the Prime Minister in accordance to Article 76(5) of the Constitution as the special right of the President. Presenting his arguments, senior advocate Sushil Panta argued that it was not mandatory for the President to appoint the Prime Minister based on claims without ascertaining grounds. Senior advocate Panta added that if Article 76(5) of the Constitution conceptualizes independent lawmakers, it should have been clearly provisioned in the Constitution itself. Stating that a party had filed a letter of action against lawmakers backing Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Dewa at the office of the President, senior advocate Panta argued that lawmakers could not be considered as independent in this regard. Participating in the hearing, senior advocate Surendra Bhandari pointed out that it was mandatory to file a claim of premiership in accordance to Article 76 of the Constitution based on undisputed grounds. Reiterating that the President has the right to reject the filed claim based on ascertaining grounds, Advocate Bhandari claimed that the decision of the President was constitutionally appropriate. The hearing on the case is scheduled to continue today as well. 41 more individuals succumbed to COVID-19 yesterday, taking the country's death tally to 9,112, while the death rate stands at around 1.5%. The total number of COVID-19 cases has crossed 630,000 as 1,889 more individuals tested positive yesterday. Kathmandu Valley reported 572 new cases. According to the Health Ministry, 7,187 tests through the PCR method were conducted, and the infection rate stands at 26.2%. Meanwhile, 3,597 individuals registered full recovery, taking the recovery tally to over 596,000 and the recovery rate to 93.3%. Based on the Health Ministry's latest report, currently there are 33,561 active cases, out of which 30,544 are in home isolation, 627 in intensive care units, and 175 on ventilator support. Many parts of the country are currently witnessing continuous rainfall since last night due to the active monsoon winds. The Meteorological Forecasting Division has forecasted that the weather throughout the country today would be completely cloudy with light to heavy rainfall as the monsoon low pressure line has been formed near the Rai area. The water level in many rivers and rivulets including Tamor, Bhutekosi, Sunkosi, Buri Gandaki and Marshangdi rivers has risen due to heavy downpour since yesterday. The division has also warned of water-induced disasters in few places including Bimal Nagar, Bandipur and Sakhar in Tanahu, Chisapani and Siling in Makwanpur and Kusumtar in Sinduli district due to incessant rainfall since the past 24 hours. And the division has also urged people around Narayani and Bagmati areas to remain vigilant as the levels in these rivers have crossed the danger level. The Forecasting Division has also warned of further floods and landslides in the hilly region and has urged people around river areas to remain vigilant. Moving on, the National Human Rights Commission has summoned Education Minister Krishna Gopal Shrestha, who has been accused of promoting caste-based discrimination, to its office for clarification. The Commission has also warned Minister Shrestha not to repeat such activities in future. The Commission stated that it sought clarification from Minister Shrestha for supporting a perpetrator involved in inhuman and sensitive issue of caste-based discrimination. The Commission warned Minister Shrestha, who has been accused of protecting the perpetrator, to remain sensitive on issues of ethnic discrimination and to the victim's right of justice. The National Human Rights Commission in statement informed that it has been monitoring the case very closely. Chairman Top Bahadur Singh and members of the National Human Rights Commission directed Minister Shrestha not to repeat such activities. In his response, Minister Shrestha said that he had realized his mistakes and assured that such activities would not repeat in future. The Commission reminded that the government and its entities are responsible to stop all kinds of human rights violations, including caste-based discrimination, and to protect the victims. The Commission has asked the government to stop protecting those involved in such incidents, take action against the perpetrators through impartial and effective investigations, and protect victims' right to justice, dignity and equality. Families displaced by floods last year in Baglung's Bhuji Khola have not been relocated despite the lapse of almost 1 year. In our Public Voice segment, we've asked the members of the displaced families how have they been living since the flood displaced them. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
सरकारले पनि के भन्ने हो र अब त्यत्रा जग्गा गए घर गए हामी गोठमा बसेर दिन खतनी गरेर पनि हाम्रो दिन जान्न
एउटै सुरक्षित ठाउँमा बस्ने व्यवस्था गरिदिने गरिब दुखीहरूले खाना लाउन बस्नको व्यवस्था गर्ने त्यही हो हाम्रो
सरकारले धेरै सहयोग गर्नु भएको छैन हामी यस्तो खोलाकोमा डराइ बस्नु परेको छ
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what's your take on the situation where provincial ministers do not have offices and staff? Your options are A, faulty management, B, irrelevant appointment, and C, no cooperation from the centre. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a great day ahead.